down one more time before I put them in the fixture. This is a rough fixture that I made a long time ago just so I could get started testing welders. It works really well. It's just plasma cut beveled pieces and plasma cut elongated holes and everything like that. It's got capability of argon backing gas, but I'm not using any for this aluminum joint. I'm going to get a nice little button tack on each end. Just a few little extra daubs of metal. It gives me a little bit of mass there, something to start off on and then something to weld to. So they have just a little bit of extra time to not blow an end away. Just a few little dabs, little button tack on each end. And you'll see why as I go. Makes it really easy to start off on. I light up and gradually press the pedal down and come inward about 1/8 of an inch and then watch the rear of the puddle roll back into the tack, and then I take off. Now you can see a bit of graininess here, and that's largely because of there's not much chill factor out there on the edge, and the slower that aluminum cools, especially when you're using 40-43 rod, the more grainy it looks. See the grains in the right behind the puddle? That'll go away as I get going and pick up my travel speed, or pretty much go away for the most part. I've just found that to be largely a cooling rate issue, more so than using a particular rod or technique. If you watch closely here, even though I'm going along at a pretty good clip, if you watch really closely, you can see the puddle kind of sink and grow just a little bit each time I dab rod, and that's a good indicator that you're getting full penetration when you can see the puddle sink just a little bit in between dabs. Now I'm using a Pyrex cup here, a number 5 Pyrex cup, just because it really helps you to see everything I'm talking about. But even if you have to rewind this area, this is pretty instructive here to watch the puddle sink a little bit and then grow with each dab. Amperage, it took roughly 72 amps for the most part. Of course, that changes when you're on either end, starting off or terminating the weld. But 063 with the chill block here takes a little bit more amperage than it would without it. But without the chill block, the heat would just saturate so much that it would start welding really differently halfway through the joint. So steel is a good choice for chill material on aluminum. It doesn't chill it too much. Well, let's get a look at that. Again, I'm not using any argon. This fixture is capable of backing up a weld with argon shielding gas, but I'm not using any for this. Let's check the penetration side. And it looks like we got pretty much full end-to-end penetration. That's another reason I use those button tacks on the end, so I can get penetration all the way to the end. Now let's take a look at a restart here. You don't want to have to restart, but sometimes you have to. You could sneeze or have to cough or who knows what. So I just light up, get the puddle to the same size, back up just one ripple, and then take off, resume my travel speed. Now as I'm coming into that little button tack, I'm watching it very carefully. I'm watching the front of the puddle. Just as soon as it melts into that tack, I start to let off my foot pedal. And you can tell I made a restart there, but it wasn't the end of the world. Again, restarts are something you don't want on a test joint, but sometimes stuff happens. All right, now I liked the settings that I wound up with for this particular joint. And I wrote them down on the joint, but there's a better way of recording things like this, and that's with the Share My Weld app.